Hello and welcome to another episode of the I podcast. Today we have with us Mr. Ashish Nijhawan, who's a Vice President BFSI Key Accounts at LeadSquared. Mr. Ashish, welcome on this podcast.
Thanks, Najan. Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure joining you on this session.
Pleasure this side too. Why would you start off by introducing a little bit about yourself and LeadSquared?
Sure. This is Ashish Nijhawan here, as you've already introduced. I work as the head of key account management team for BFSI at LeadSquared. We work closely with some of the top financial services customers, driving digital transformation and growth. I've been in the CRM and customer experience industry for the past 20 plus years and have worked across multiple domains, including insurance, banking, and securities for this period of time. And at LeadSquared, what we're trying to do is, again, in India, we're trying to focus on how we can help transform this whole experience in the insurance industry. And that's one of the things. About LeadSquared, it's one of the leading and powerful SaaS solution for sales execution, business operations, and marketing automation. And we help customers manage the complete customer lifecycle from sourcing to onboarding to the policy servicing lifecycle. End-to-end customer lifecycle you can manage here. And we manage the whole lifecycle. We also understand the importance of security and e-compliance, as you might understand, in the industry that we operate in. So we are SOC 2 compliant, HIPAA, GDPR, and ISO 2007 to say a few of them. We take our security and compliance and maintain that to the highest of standards. With 12 plus of years of experience in the financial services industry, LeadSquared is today a key technology partner for a lot of BFSI institutions in India. And we serve over about 5 lakh users daily across different industries. We are headquartered in India and we operate globally with one of few of our key international markets, based US, Middle East, Africa, and APAC. But we are a made in India company and we serve a large part of our Indian customers here. And that's where our base lies.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Let me ask you here to be a little more specific. What exactly does LeadSquare offer in the insurance space or the InsurTech space in India or globally?
Yeah, so we are a verticalized SaaS platform offering comprehensive suite of sales, marketing, and service automation tools for the complete B2C industry. And in insurance space, our core offering is around digital enablement for the customers that helps them transform and helps insurers manage their whole customer acquisition, field tracking, agent onboarding, service journeys, and performance management. So essentially think of it like a tool which can help you manage the whole life cycle and the experience of a customer from the time you source them. And that is one part, right? And to the servicing part, the other is also the employee experience, which a lot of people forget. It's not just about customer experience. Your employee experience, again, is a very key part of how you engage with your customers. So we manage the life cycle and experience across these two dimensions and help employees also improve their productivity, nudge them towards certain behavior, and also help them manage their performance. Now, we serve across, in India, we work with across 15 plus insurance companies across life and general insurance and covering about 17% of the market today here. And about exclude LIC, I think we cover about 35 to 40% of the insurance market today as a customer, right? As LeadSquared, one of the key different focus areas we have been is we've been trying to observe real world problems, right? And trying to solve those problems. So this is what we call as a bottom-up product philosophy, design philosophy, where we want to look at the actual problems on the ground and then solve them. But how do we do that, right? We've enabled about 1 million plus agents to be on board digitally across India's highly fragmented market that we have, and also enable your field teams across various customers to do your daily activities. But to do this, what we did was visited about 20 plus branches and met about 100 plus users, right? Across different channels and across different hierarchies to understand how does a day in the life of an agent who's an agency partner or a banker or a contact center agent look, and then we build whatever we need to solve their problems into the product. And this is a continuous activity that we do as a team at LeadSquared, and this is not just one team. This includes the account management team, the sales team, managers like us, the product team, all do that, right? And this is a part of our regular engagement activity that we do. And consequence of this approach today is we have across our most of our customers, we have greater than 85% adoption of our platform. And that's a very proud number to be proud of, because that's probably one of the highest in the industry, right? And we are constantly rated as one of the best mobile app platform by our users. So that's a very high level. So, oh,
Ashish, in your perspective, what are some of the gaps that you believe still exist in the InsurTech ecosystem? And how is you believe LeadSquared is actually working to bridge them?
yeah. So I'll just take, I think there are quite few, but I think distribution is one for obvious, which is the larger part of the problem, because the ability to crack the tier 2, tier 3 is what everyone's trying to crack. Accessibility, that what everyone is solving. But there are other things when we meet customers and users. I think few very interesting things we have identified. One is agent productivity, right? Now, frontline churn in any sales churn in all customers is very high, right? And they always remains this challenge of how to improve the productivity. And that's a very standard question that we get: how do I increase the productivity of my contact center agent, my banker partner, or the FOS who's managing, sales managers managing the banker partners? And then how do I bridge the gap between my top performers and the people who are either in the mid or the bottom of the pyramid? Because if you can pull these people up, your productivity increases, and that essentially improves your top line and the bottom line, right? So that is one. On a banker channel, again, that's a very influential channel in the industry, right? There's a very branch relationship, and branch coverage is a very critical activity, right? So how do I manage that, or track and manage and effectively ensure that my coverage is good? I see these kind of problems where these are certain gaps we see. Then customer servicing, we still see a lot of fragment solutions where policy servicing is somewhere else, request is being managed somewhere else. There's no customer 360-degree view. Then the other thing we have come across is the whole agent digitization, the onboarding process. Now, agency partners are very critical part for building your distribution. Now, how do you simplify not just the agent onboarding, but also the agent payouts, right? The whole lifecycle management, managing the agent, helping them post the leads, and then giving them a view of, helping them create a microsite for themselves where they can publish and market themselves and source the leads from there. And then also the whole commission and the payout part. So that is a rural accessibility is another area where we feel there's a gap right now, and there are innovative solutions that we're doing. Now, we see these are the gap.
Sure. But why don't I ask you to share a real world example of your product or service where you think that you made a meaningful impact on scale? So some kind of user story or a case study, if you can discuss briefly.
So I'll just cover, before I go to the full use case, I'll just cover a few more points on these gaps and how we are solving. And this agent productivity or the sales productivity, I think it's a very touchy topic and a very interesting topic. Now, when we have been in the industry for now, when we are meeting the customers, right, and the users. So one thing that realizes everyone focuses on the output, right? We are all focused on have you achieved your NOP, what is the number of policies you have booked. But there's a very novel concept which everyone misses, right? And that's what we're working on is all these output, the measurements that we want to do have a direct correlation to the inputs that you run. So if you do the right inputs and you drive the right input metrics, then it will automatically impact your output, right? As an example, now, typically everyone has, if you're an agency partner, you have a target of how many agents you have onboarded, or ARFs, how many you have done. And these are goals for you for the month. But to drive these goals, you have to have a certain number of meetings done, right? Or a certain number of ARFs completed before your number of agent recruitment is completed, right? Or agent onboarding to be done. So what we realize is that the focus sometimes is almost always on the output, but people are not focusing on these input matrices, right? And that's a brilliant thing we are doing now with a lot of customers, where we're looking at how we can impact this input matrices, right? And then gamify that, also nudge people to drive those matrices, because if we can impact these matrices, then it automatically your output will improve. So because everyone knows what my target is, where am I lagging, and then you have a gamification view of the leaderboard where I say, hey, shit, man, that guy has gone up. Can I catch up on that? That's what we're doing in that nudging. Now, from an agent productivity, the other thing that we are very interesting things we are doing right now, and this should fall into the second question you had, is about, and this is something we are doing right now, it's of a customer we are working on is how do we enable them to perform better? And that, let's take the case of a contact center, right? There's a lot of calling that happens. So we're working on identifying and analyzing this call center data, the calling data, translating that into identifiers which can help us differentiate the training needs of different. And then that becomes one part, and then feed that into your leaderboards. So if you combine the leaderboards and the inputs and the training needs, then all you have to do is combine these three matrices to actually identify how do we bring someone else up the curve, right? And how do you improve the productivity and identify the right learning matrices, right, for people. And the second thing we're doing is also working on leveraging AI in some of customers to intelligently allocate, right, leads. You allocate your best leads to your smartest agents, right? Can we do that? So that will help you drive a better conversion. So two problems we solve. One, agent productivity as you bring more agents up the curve. The second is your drive conversion, right? Because if you're able to map the right skill intelligently to the right agent, then you have a higher conversion. I'll give another example, very interesting example, and this is again a bottom-up work that we did. In a lot of insurance companies, you'll also see that, and this again ties into the productivity, right? So in a lot of customers, you'll see that banker channel, there's a cadence that is required to be done. There's a certain frequency in which you have to meet all your branches. And that people have an Excel where they maintain, right? There's a beat plan that happens on the start of the month. And then they have an Excel which is then floated around and someone approves it. And then that's gone. It's all an email, right? And that's again another area where we have something called as a journey planner, which is basically a beat planning tool where you can actually plan your complete month, even a week. And it could be an agent planning and saying, hey, this is how I want to visit. Or the manager saying, hey, this is how you have to visit. Make sure your coverage is complete. Digitize that whole process. And for an agent, once the beat plan is done, all they have to do at the start of the day is open the app and follow the plan. So it's a brilliant, small, but a brilliant solution which helps streamline the efforts. And that's what drives adoption also, right? Effectively, what happens is for an FOS when they know there's a defined task. And all these ties up to the whole point around the productivity, because now no one is maintaining an Excel and tracking an Excel, which is such a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah. No, excellent. I think it's great to know work that LeadSquared is doing, the domain that you are serving, and with your clients and some of the use cases that you've discussed, Ashish. So to wrap up, what message you would like to give or rather share with our listeners? And also maybe if you can talk a little bit about how do you believe the India InsurTech Association has supported you in it so far?
So this is a highly evolving industry, and the digitization is happening at a pace, and we see how AI is really reshaping the industry. And we also work in a very regulated environment, so there are a lot of changes that keep coming in. So there is such an environment. We as LeadSquared, our ideal platform to they make that possible for you to really shape shift or change your business model to adapt to this changing world, because we are continuously innovating and we are at the forefront of this innovation, right? I believe as a thought leaders that we are and innovators, right? This is something which we can help this community adapt and also help them drive the distribution better. I believe industry associations like India InsurTech, you're helping us bring or bridge the gap by bringing people from different platforms together and bringing the innovators and the leaders right together for insightful discussions which help us identify emerging trends, challenges, and these kind of thought leadership, right, is what helps us drive meaningful engagement across this community and for us to all learn from them. So I believe it's a brilliant kind of interaction that we have with you guys, and India InsurTech team is doing a brilliant job in bringing these insights back to us, because we all keep learning, right, from others. And thanks to you all, this information is accessible to everyone now.
It's been a pleasure talking to you and knowing more about LeadSquared today on this podcast. That's all that we have time for today. Thank you.
Thank you.